Right, moving on, public participation. At this stage, we receive questions from the public. There has been one question raised by a member of the public. Copies of the question and the answer have been circulated to all persons in attendance. Mr. Chaddock, are you here, Mr. Chaddock? You've received an answer to your response, to your question. Do you have a supplementary question?
I do.
Could you come forward and use a microphone then, please? There's one on this table over here.
Can everybody hear me, or do I have to get lower? Yeah. Okay, fine. Mr. Chairman, you've not seen me here in this position before. I've never attended a council meeting or asked a question, so I hope you're going to cut me a bit of slack here. I've done my best to follow the protocols, conferring with your office, your political office, and so on and so forth. But I'm here because we're at a very serious point. If you look at my question, you can probably gather the subject matter. We've got David Attenborough going around the world, whilst there's still breath in his body, to implore the human race to act at this time. We've got young Greta Thunberg, although that's not how she pronounces her name, but we do. I think we've probably heard of her, the young school child, 16-year-old from Sweden, who's going around. She's coming to London this month, later this month, to meet with leaders. And we've got our own school children out on the streets about this issue. That's unprecedented. In my lifetime, I'm 58, that's never happened as far as I know. So it's a very, very serious subject, and I hope you don't feel like you need to cut me short and go to the question. I will, because I asked the question, and I asked that it could be, if possible, answered by as many people who are able to answer it as possible. It's been answered by one councillor, and I was wondering if there was any way, being as we have just less than 11 and a half years to respond, we can't wait 11 years and then respond, we have less than 11 and a half years to actually turn this around. We're on course to miss our carbon targets. The leadership that we're getting from central government is not exactly signifying that this is a priority. So the purpose of me asking if you would consider declaring a climate emergency at council level would be that it would push the central government to take this more seriously. 54 now councils around the country have declared a climate emergency. And why couldn't Stratford perhaps consider being the 55th? So I was wondering, Mr. Chairman, if there is any way that we could get other councillors here assembled today to respond to my question and give us some reasons as to why they might not support and vote in favour of a motion to declare a climate emergency in Stratford-on-Avon.
You had a response from the leader to your initial question, which actually raises those issues. It would not be appropriate to have a straw poll on this occasion. I'm pretty sure our legal advisor on my left confirmed that it's not constitutionally, we cannot do that. But if you wish to ask the leader to respond to your second request, I'm sure Councillor Jefferson, on behalf of all councillors, as the leader of this council, would be happy to respond.
Thank you, Chair. I have to say that I personally take the threat from climate change exceedingly seriously. Just looking at some of the data, which is actually quite worrying. Annual mean growth in carbon dioxide emissions is now around 2.5 parts per million per annum. That's accelerating. Current level stands at 412. That's getting pretty high. The critical issue is going to be how we manage the transition. And that is going to be really, really important. And I think one of the big threats is we cannot afford the progress being made on emissions reductions to stall. There was a very interesting comment in a book called Collapse by Jared Diamond, written about 15 years ago. And actually one of the biggest threats to tackling climate change is democracy. That may sound very strange, but the interesting thing is that given the scale of transition, it's going to be how people will accept it. And I think that is going to be one of the key challenges for us all. I will go back to what I said. I personally think this is a very, very serious threat. In most cases, I think it's underestimated. So I hope from that point of view you are somewhat reassured about the attitude the new council may take. Thank you.
Mr Chaddock, I'm going to slightly go against normal procedures. I'm going to just ask members, are we agreed with the issues that our leader has just raised, that we do share a concern on climate change, and I think we all are very aware of the issues and that they need to be resolved speedily. Are we agreed, Council, on those items? Agreed. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have to say clearly that is not a formal motion and it carries no weight in terms of any moving forward.